traders Keith Fitz-Gerald and John Najarian. John, you know, it's not just equities joining the January party here. We've got Bitcoin once again gaining as well. Oil is up. West Texas Intermediate in the aftermarket is moving well above more than $73. So it's at $74.09 at the moment. That's an 11-week high. What are you gleaning from the bigger picture of the price action today for investors?
Well, you've talked about two of them just right there, Liz. One of them, Bitcoin, obviously, there's a lot of stocks that are tied to it. MicroStrategy, one of them. But that's a very, very leveraged bet on Bitcoin. So we noticed a lot of unusual activity, Liz, in TeraWulf, which is symbol WULF. The stock's a $6 stock. They're betting that over the next few months, it trades through $8 a share, which would be nearly 30% to the upside. I like that trade. And then as far as energy, which you also just mentioned, with crude oil trading back over 74, EQT, this is a natural gas player, not a crude oil play, but nonetheless, natural gas is necessary for electricity generation as well as some of the cold that hit the East Coast. And this is an Appalachian-based company, basically. So EQT moving to the upside because of strong demand, and somebody bought nearly 2.8 million share equivalent of the upside calls in this one that are all the way out till February. So I like both of those two plays, Liz.
Yeah, and they're not, Keith, two out front kind of names. You, of course, have been pounding the table on Tesla, Palantir, Costco, many of these other names that are very much, you know, widely held stocks. What are you doing when you look at these rallies that we're seeing at the moment in different echelons of the market? I mean, the VIX is falling. There doesn't appear to be any concern, even when there was that moment during the speaker vote where it looked like Mike Johnson wasn't going to pull it out, which he eventually did with the majority of 218 votes. Some confusion there, but the market never wavered. What does that tell you?
Well, number one, it tells me that it's going to be hard to wipe the smile off my face because I think what that portrays is a lot of activity, a lot of money still on the move, a lot of hungry money looking for great companies at the right point in time. So, you know, you and I have talked about this for a long time. When you're on a winning horse, you want to ride it all the way to the end of the race. You don't switch in the middle unless you have a compelling reason to do so.
Okay, so that tells me you're staying with names like Palantir. But John, when you look at valuations, because I know you do, even when you're trading options as well, does the market look expensive to you at the moment?
Certain parts of it certainly do, Liz. But that's not to say that they won't do what stocks tend to do, and that is have a pullback and then a race again to the upside. When you and I were together in Florida recently, we talked about a lot of those small nuclear plays, for instance, those small modular reactors. A lot of those got hit as people were taking profits. And then today, many of them are up over 20% in a single session. That's like Oklo, OKLO, as well as NNE, Nano Nuclear, and so forth.
Okla's
SMR.
up, hey, John, Okla's up 23.25% right now. And I think that's...
They're just putting the whip to it.
Yeah, but you got to strap in for a very wild ride. Isn't that right, John?
That is very correct. And these won't have significant revenue for several years, but sort of like the AI plays, sort of like the quantum computing plays, these bets into the future are likely, the survivors of this are likely to be several $100s, not $20, not $30, but you're going to have to be a patient investor. And as you said, you're going to have to tolerate some pretty significant volatility, just like Keith just spoke of.
You know, Keith, you, along with Sarge, who, of course, is one of our traders on the show, and of Buffett, Warren Buffett says, don't buy stocks on an up day. Buy your preferred stocks on your shopping list when they are down. I was talking to my two very young nephews. They're in their early 20s, and they are so smart about buying stocks. They have little shares of different companies, and they watch the market really closely. But I ordered them. I said, you do not buy any of these stocks when they are moving higher. Wait for even just a tiny pullback. Is that still the right advice in 2025?
Well, there's no question, and John alluded to it. You know, you wait for the pullback, and the reason you wait for the pullback is because that's when emotions are running high, and most people make exactly the right decision at precisely the wrong moment, meaning they run in fear instead of investing in optimism. So me personally, yeah, the worse the fall off, the worse the headlines, the worse the fear, the more aptly I'm going to go shopping and the deeper I'm going to buy.
John, everybody's talked about the Russell, and when's that big moment where the market broadens out to many smaller names in the small and mid cap index? Do you see any of that? I mean, you look at those names as well.
Yeah, I do. And I will see some of that happening. But right now, Liz, one of the big things that's the biggest impediment in my mind isn't the speaker vote. It is the 10-year bond. And we need a break of that fever. We need that 10-year bond, the yield on it, to come down. So bonds up, yield down. That's what we need. That will certainly be manna from heaven for the small caps and the NASDAQ for that matter. You mentioned it's up 1.7%, I think, on the day. You'll see it do another one of those on any kind of serious breaks.
Can you have it all, though, guys? Can you have, because we have a pretty solid economy right now. All of the data show that. I mean, you had Barkin today. He, of course, Richmond Federal Reserve Bank President Barkin was coming out today, and he said he's still a little bit worried about inflation. He basically said he's in the camp of staying restrictive for longer. He has a message loud and clear, though, from businesses that consumers are more price sensitive. So things are balancing. The consumer's calming down a little bit. Inflation is closer to 2%, not quite there yet. So he's not entirely sold on immediately chopping rates again. But Keith, give me your sense of this, because you got a strong economy. Why would the 10-year yield start coming down?
Well, you got a couple things, right? The election is out of the way, the uncertainty is off the table, the Fed's been benched, and you've got great big companies in particular who are moving forward with globally unprecedented themes. So it's absolutely possible to be economically cautious, but a market bull. And the mechanics of today's markets are very different than the economic models that guys like that use to make their statements.
Yeah, I know. Guys like that and guys like you guys. I'm listening to you guys, so we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you.
Happy New Year to you both, Keith Fitz-Gerald and John Najarian. We appreciate you coming on.